The exhaust system, the way it's routed, is quite a bit different than the production Gullwing. In order to make clearance for the carburetors, they actually have to be shaped quite differently to clear the linkages. It comes down, travels outside the frame at this point, and there's a muffler near the passenger's feet. I'm sure it gets pretty hot in there. I will be putting a asbestos shield over it as the original had. As we go back, we can start looking at some of the other issues that are quite different. The battery's on the other side. Instead of being behind the driver, it's on the passenger side. And the rear axle carrier has been lightened, and there's some extra brackets to support the rear deck behind the driver and passenger seat. Moving up towards the dash, we will notice that the fuse box is actually inside what looks like a glove box. I don't have the fuses installed yet, but it will be a fuse box there. And you will see the horn button that the first car somebody had put on there. I don't know, I think just for decoration. The clock is out of a Messerschmitt 109. It is the correct clock for this car. They put this clock in almost all the coupes that were produced of the 10 cars. Correct removable steering wheel with the spline shaft, correct shaft size, 22 millimeter shaft. We have the correct aluminum shift knob as per the original car. The exhaust as it runs back on the first car, and then it was flared at the end. And it's hard hung to the chassis. There's no rubber mounts. There was springs up further, and then there's some hard mounts here at the back. Mounts for the dual spares are back here. We'll get that going here pretty quick. The gas tank straps. We'll be building a gas tank this week. You can see we used the correct solid boots on the axle, so it's been completely apart. Now this axle is out of a 220 sedan. With the 364 gearing out of a later car, so it's kind of a Frankenstein rear axle, and I think the factory may have done the same thing. They have used the 220 tubes, and then because it's narrower than the 300 sedan by about 50 millimeters to clear the wheel wells. So you could have used a 300 sedan axle, but it would be too wide. You can see the e-brake handle has been lightened. There's some holes drilled in it, kind of interesting, as per the original factory unit. It has a lot of the same switches and gauges as the production Gullwing, albeit they're in different locations. There's the distributor advanced retard. We have a windshield wiper, generator charging light, and above the clock, fuel pumps. We have been lucky we have found the correct fuel pump for this car. It is a Harting 12-volt electric fuel pump, and it is in the right location. You'll notice on the steering column, this is a universal joint that is very similar to the 300 sedan rear axle internal component. This is a custom-made piece to match what we found in the photographs of the original car. Because the steering box angle, it could not be run directly straight into the steering box and had to have a universal joint installed.